Coming up next on the Voice of Alabama Politics, more dark money in the AG's race. Also, Republicans say a ballot challenge for Tommy Tuberville. And who else might run for governor?
Okay, glad we had this talk. Again. I gotta feed the monkeys. Bye-bye.
Not so fast.
Ooh, I guess it's time to dust off the crystal ball. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to the Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, investigative reporter and columnist at APR. Welcome.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, guys.
You know, we've all been reporters for years now, and there's sometimes you go looking for a story, and sometimes the story just lands in your lap.
Mm.
And this past week, we talked about Tommy Tuberville's residency over and over again, but we've sort of let that fade away as it seemed like the Republican Party was not going to do anything about whether he actually lives in Alabama or not. But after speaking with several, I would say, insiders with the Alabama Republican Party last week, it turns out that many inside the party are worried that he is not a resident of Alabama and cannot prove he's a resident of Alabama, and that there will be a ballot challenge. And for those who don't exactly know what a ballot challenge is, that anybody in the Republican Party can challenge a candidate on a number of issues, and residency would be one of them. But especially standing would be someone else who is running for governor, would have special standing to make that challenge. And Josh, I was assured this week by several people within ALGOP that if a challenge is issued, it will be heard.
I'm sorry. Listen, I know they're very serious. I know they're very serious about this, allegedly, the group of people who elected the 34-time felon. But it's and I think Tuberville should be concerned. I think that he's going to have to send the lawyers in, and they're going to have to present a case. And if it's a case, it's going to be on the record. But I'm sorry. I have my doubts, and I'll tell you why I have my doubts. And my doubts are not just simply because of the president that they have stood behind and the criminality there, but also the fact that David Cole went before this same body, this same group of people. David Cole was representative in District 10 up in the Madison County area, and this same group of people ignored a mountain of evidence about him living outside of the district when he was running for office and when he qualified, and presenting false information to them, information that was shared to them by another Republican, and they let him slide on that. And I appreciate what they're saying on the front end, but that's a small matter compared to what we're looking at with Tommy Tuberville. And to go in and take a guy, sitting U.S. Senator currently, who's going to be running for governor, who all the other candidates have, gotten out of the way for, and, rightly or wrongly, I just think it's going to take an extraordinarily high level of courage. And because, listen, there is no doubt in my mind that Tommy Tuberville cannot prove that he lives in this state. Okay, there's just not, and for the last 7 years. Okay, maybe he could prove it if the law was, hey, you have to have lived here within the last 7 years. Maybe that would be something he could prove. But continually for the last 7 years, no. Come on, there's no chance that can happen, and so they're going to have to make a decision, and they're going to have to take a stand. And I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to make that stand. I hope that they prove me wrong, but we'll see.
I mean, Susan, Josh may very well be right. We haven't seen a whole lot of courage in the party, but one of the veteran of the party said to me, "This has to be more of a party of principle than of power." Of course, that's exactly what Josh is talking about. That is, in some respects, has become a party of power and not principle.
Right, and I think that's beginning to backfire on Tuberville. I mean, the simple thing is release your tax returns where you paid, state taxes for the last 7 years. That's real simple.
That's right.
I believe if he had those, he would have already released them.
That's right.
But some of the real backlash he's getting also is he's not putting himself out there.
Right.
He's not going and speaking at Republican functions. He's not making himself available to people. He's basically just taking for granted that he's going to be governor. And I think that's giving some people in the party a little bit of hesitancy in moving forward with him. And I think that's also part of it.
Yeah, and I know that party chairs in various counties have complained that he won't accept their invitation to speak. He doesn't accept invitations like for Rotary or Kiwanis or even go out in the communities. I mean, normally in a gubernatorial race, the candidate is crisscrossing the state trying to persuade voters to vote for him. Well, and this was, I've written about this, and this was said to me this past week. He thinks he's been crowned. He's going to be crowned governor. And they said, again, words that I've written. We have coronations, we have elections. But Josh, I think this is looking more and more like a coronation, even though some people are nervous that there could be a ballot challenge and would at least embarrass the party if that's possible.
Well, we'll see if that's possible or not. I don't know, but we'll, we know there's going to be a ballot challenge because we saw Ken McFeeters, who is qualified and going to run, said point blank on our Facebook post on the APR Facebook page, posted down below there. You can bet I'm going to make a ballot challenge because Tommy Tuberville does not live in this state, and I think that the thing that gets me about this whole situation is, we're really kind of past the point of anybody challenging whether or not Tommy Tuberville lives in this state. You hear him talk about it. No one even brings up a defense to say that he lives here. They always go to, come on, the judges aren't going to talk. They're not going to toss him out. The judges aren't going to do this. And I mean, there is just a mountain of evidence that he cannot meet the basic standard of residency in this state, and I've seen it. You look at his travel records, you look at what he's done, you look at where he lives, you look at where he's traveled to, and the plane flights from D.C. and back and forth. You look at the tax records, for God's sakes. It just is. It's a mountain of evidence that says he does not have a residence in this state and hasn't had one for the last 7 years. And I don't know. You're going to have to ignore that law, is what I'm saying. You're going to have to ignore it and get past it.
The idea to me that the Supreme Court of Alabama would overrule or sidestep the clear Constitution of the state of Alabama is awfully hard to swallow, but it could happen. Anyway, you're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. You know, we all love to dust off the old political crystal ball and kind of gaze into what could be or what should be or what we might want it to be. But there's a lot of people that are speculating that Doug Jones, former U.S. Senator Doug Jones, who in 2017 shocked the nation by winning the first Senate seat in Alabama in 25 years. Now, he did it with a spectacular coalition, and there's a lot of people who have been echoing, hey, I think Doug should run. I think Doug should run. The only person we haven't heard from is Doug. Now, he seemed to have teased something along those lines a couple of weeks ago when he was at an event. But Susan, prognostication is not my thing. I'm sure it's Josh's, but we're going to go to you first. What's your intuition tell you?
My intuition tells me that he's probably going to get in this race. I mean, he's hinted at it. People want him to do it. You know, he's got a pretty open lane. He's got a great record with black voters as far as, you know, from the bombings to voting rights to, you know, education for HBCUs. So he's got a lane to run in there, I think.
I mean, Josh, to me, if you look at Jones's record, he wasn't supposed to beat Roy Moore. But people, and I know there was a lot of stories about Roy Moore at the time, but where was accused of this and accused of that and all the other things. But you also saw this coalition come together of moderate Republicans, of black women, especially black voters, Democrats and independents, because they liked his message more, I think, than they disliked Moore. Now, Richard Shelby did come out and give people in the Republican Party permission to write in the candidate of their choice. And look, can lightning strike twice? Absolutely. Will it? I have no idea. Will he even run? I don't know. But like Susan said, I think there's a lane there because Tuberville is not that popular inside the Republican Party outside of the base. And the base is primarily rural. And where Doug Jones won in 17 was not in the rural areas. They were just neutered by his bigger wins in the urban areas and the 10 Big 10 cities.
Yeah. All right. So I think Doug's probably going to run, and I think that Doug is going to have a pretty good chance of winning this, and because of exactly what you said. You know, people forget that Roy Moore was a very popular candidate within the Republican Party when that thing started in 17. He beat Luther Strange, who was basically picking out the drapes in the U.S. Senate. For his office over there, and Roy Moore came in and beat him like a drum. Luther Strange was the big mules, as they call him. He was their choice. He was their guy. And so Moore put together, a nice voting base that went into that thing. And he had the problems with the stories, the national stories about things, and he had a pretty sordid history. But, I would say that Tuberville and Roy Moore are fairly comparable in who they are in terms of the Republican Party, except for the fact that I think more Republicans at the time may have been accepting of Roy Moore than they are of Tommy Tuberville right right now, just because of the experience and what he was going to be able to get done and what he was doing. Tuberville, let's take a look. You talked about the records as well. Jones was in the Senate for 2 years. And I want to say he either sponsored or co-sponsored some 30 pieces of legislation that was passed.
Right.
Much of it bipartisan.
Yeah.
Much of it bipartisan. Tuberville's been there 6 years. He's gotten one thing passed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, he's done a lot of grandstanding. He's done a lot of, he said a lot of really idiotic things on national television, news programs. He's attacked Muslims and seemingly every minority. And so maybe that wins him a lot of votes with people. But what's been more problematic for him, I think, is the fact that he's met with a lot of the big mules, and those meetings have not gone very well. He's tried to entice the moderate Republicans, and those meetings have not gone very well. And now you have somebody who is a sane, working person like Doug Jones that they know is going to go in there. He's not going to be crazy. They know they have a record of Doug Jones in the Senate. They know as governor, he's going to be the same guy. And he's going to be this person who they can deal with, who's going to be steady, who's going to be someone they can rely on, who's somebody that they're going to go to him with their different stuff. He's not a radical. He's not anything like that. And so, if you're looking at those two things, hey, man, it's only yourself in that voting booth.
Yeah, you're alone with your conscience, as I like to say. And look, we hear the same thing from our Republican friends and folks who just go, look, man, we don't think he wants to lead Alabama. We think he wants to just be governor. Now, that could be just an impression, but it seems to me that Tuberville caused chaos when he was in the Senate with the military holdups. And there's a lot of military voters in this state who might just go, you know what, I'm a Republican, but this guy screwed me when I didn't get my promotion. He held it up. Now you can say, well, we're a pro-life state. And so, oh boy, he had a great cause. I get that. But there are people who are not going to forget that what he did to the military. And there's other people that are going to go, look, the Muslim issue is not putting food on my table.
Right.
And so I think all that works against him. Now, is it a narrow path? Yes. But I've seen stranger things in Alabama politics. Susan, you got last word.
I think stranger things, but, we've heard from donors who say that he's really excited about being able to play golf and fly on the plane.
Yeah.
And that's all he really talks about. He doesn't talk about what he's going to do for Alabama. And I think in the end, with a batch like Doug Jones, if he doesn't come up with some policies, that may be a problem.
And I saw some of the right-wing pundits talking about how, Jones was going to get really trounced once again. The only reason that Tommy Tuberville won is because people knew his name, and it was during COVID, and there was a whole a lot of things that were going on, and therefore it didn't work because nobody vetted Tommy Tuberville and when he won. He was never vetted once, but he'll be vetted as governor. Anyway, we have to leave right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. I want to remind our viewers here on broadcast television and on the web that we have moved primarily onto the web to produce our product and deliver our product. So if you are receiving it through broadcast still, which Montgomery is the only place that's receiving it because it's the capital city. But tell your friends and family that they can now watch all the episodes, every Sunday beginning at 8:30 on YouTube. And we also have clips that are on Facebook and that are on TikTok and that are on X. So remind your friends and family who enjoy watching this program. It's the same program. We just determined to move where most of the viewers are these days, and that's on online platforms. So we're everywhere you get your news now, except on broadcast television, with the one exception of Montgomery. So,
And that way they can view it at their leisure whenever they decide. They don't have to set it aside.
Because very few people do appointment viewing anymore. I mean, even if you're watching the late night comedians, Josh, you know this as well. You don't a lot of times wait up to see them. You know, the late night shows and stuff like that. You catch it the next day.
Unless there's a ball involved, nobody's watching anything live. At the time that it's on for the most part, unless there's a ball involved or there's an appointment where you're in a waiting room. That's about all you got.
But I just want to remind folks that that's what's happening. Please spread the word. We're trying to get it out there as quickly as possible because we love our viewers and we don't want to lose a single one of them. Josh, here they go again. Catherine Robertson's campaign for Attorney General of Alabama has just recently received more money from a brand new dark money group that's moved into Alabama. You broke it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's another one of these, shady. I hate to say shady. It's another one of these C4s, that pops up overnight. And this one popped up a couple of days prior to it giving her $150,000 donation. It's registered by an attorney in Montgomery and another attorney in D.C. There's no real history of it. You have no idea, and nor can you find out who gave the money here or there. Where the money's coming from, and that's the idea of the whole thing, is to obscure the pathway of the money from its original source. And now it's I've been told by people who are very close to this that it was an offshoot. This particular C4 was an offshoot of the Republican Attorney General's Association, RAGA, as it is, and they've done this before. This is now 1.3 million, I think, in dark money that Catherine Robertson has received from two different C4s out there, neither of which you have any idea where the money comes from. And I think it's legal. Look, let me say that right up front. It's legal. What she's doing, 100% legal under Alabama law, 100% legal. Okay, but you also have the spectacle, and they know this, that we have laws that require that ban pack-to-pack transfers, and the reason that you have banned those things is because Alabama lawmakers have determined that determining where money comes from and that goes to candidates and campaigns, the people should know this. They should know who is supporting them, and this obscures that. And now you have the person who is running. One of the people running to be the top law enforcement agent in the state of Alabama, who's basically skirting that law in a legal way, but skirting that law to get around disclosing who it is that's supporting her.
I have time and again tried to warn people that I think she's crooked. I think her boss, Steve Marshall, who has backed her to the hilt, is crooked. I think they use the law to their own benefit, and they are not afraid to bend the rules to help themselves or their buddies. That's my opinion. I don't think any of them should be allowed even 1 minute in the office that has the kind of authority that they have. And I think this right here goes to show her character. She's not being supported by the people of Alabama. She's not getting grassroots money by the droves. She's getting money from people that we don't know. And I almost can guarantee you they're from out of state, and they're tied to Leonard Leo and big operations like that who want to control the Attorney General's office in Alabama, not the people. Susan, that's my take.
I agree with you because the RAGA straight up gave a PAC-to-PAC donation to Steve Marshall in his last election.
Yeah.
It's just nobody would call him on it. It was straight up illegal.
Oh,
And
people called him on it.
Yeah.
I mean, but they didn't do anything about it.
No.
But, you know, and what has he done? He sued the federal government time and time again. He's not paid attention to what's going on in the state, which is exactly what they're going to do with her.
Yeah.
It's the whole Leonard Leo model of reframing the way the justice system works. Has nothing to do with taking care of Alabama. Has to do with the way Leonard Leo sees the justice system, the way he wants to see it.
You know, it's just, to me, it's like somebody's got a, well, anyway, I'm not going to say that. But we understand that politicians are bought, Josh. We just like to know who's buying them, right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. You know, it is. It's so troubling to me that we have this situation where the top person who is going to run for office there is skirting the law. You know, and you're right about what Steve Marshall did. But there were people who called him on it. And the Ethics Commission, that people remember, what came within one vote of holding him accountable for that. And he would have had some real serious legal trouble over that. But they didn't. And then the year later, they came back and told the Democrats that they couldn't do exactly the same thing, that it was illegal under the laws. Okay. And so, but the Democrats asked before they did it. That was a problem, I guess. Maybe they shouldn't. But, you know, this is, it's problematic when you have somebody where you don't know this. And you've seen what's happened with Steve Marshall out of this. He has spent his entirety of his time in office sending out press releases fighting the Biden administration or the Obama era this or the, all the liberal agenda that or woke this or whatever. And it's all some national scheme based on Leonard Leo's stuff and that group's people, to force this stuff on attorney generals. And that's what he's taking part in.
Well, we don't need another crooked attorney general, but we're going to have to leave it right there. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.